Al Michaels joins us again tonight, live from Candlestick Park. And with us from our bureau in San Francisco, a man some say is as much a part of the city as the Golden Gate Bridge. Herb Cain's column has been appearing in the San Francisco Chronicle 6 days a week for the past 51 years. Al Michaels, tell me what's happening in terms of the World Series. I know you talked with the commissioner earlier, and the decision appears to be San Francisco, right?
On Tuesday, if everything proceeds with relative normalcy, Ted, again, it's not etched in stone. Personally, I think he made a thoroughly brilliant choice because hopefully by that time, life goes on. And life will begin to go on again in the Bay Area, and maybe the Bay Area will need a diversion. And I think it would have been a travesty to have moved the World Series to a neutral site, because really, who cares at this point who wins or who loses? And to move it to Anaheim or San Diego, there was speculation that that would happen, would have been, I think, ridiculous. This area, and I think it's worth going back now and understanding where this area was before the earthquake hit. This area was busting its buttons. They were so proud and so happy that they had a Bay Area World Series and so willing to show the nation what a beautiful region this is and their great baseball teams. It was a love fest and a sense of euphoria. And of course, it all came crashing down. So hopefully next week, if everything comes back to some semblance of normalcy, this will help the Bay Area divert its attention somewhat and get back to real life.
Herb Cain, before all of this happened, and indeed before the World Series began, you wrote kind of a wickedly tongue-in-cheek column for Newsweek magazine, emphasizing the rivalry between Oakland and San Francisco. I must say, written very much from a San Francisco point of view. What kind of a World Series is it going to be now in the wake of this shared disaster?
Well, it'll be hard to pick up the pace. It'll be hard not to, because the first two games for San Francisco, especially, were very boring. So this was not the kind of break we wanted or needed, but it did stop the Oakland A's.
Yeah, it did that and a lot of other things. Tell me now, what would have happened if the commissioner had suggested that the game be moved? What do you think San Franciscans, and for that matter, although I suspect Oaklanders might wish for another spokesman, tell me what you think would have happened if the commissioner had moved things south to California? I mean, to Southern California.
Well, there would have been outrage. I think he made the right choice. It has to be played here if it takes the rest of the year. And I'm sure it will be, and I think that's where it should be, at Candlestick.
Al Michaels, talk about it, and it's time for a little bit of that normalcy that you were talking about a moment ago. Talk about what kind of a series it's going to be from here on in. Are they going to be able to get back into the spirit of the game?
Probably to some degree. It's going to be more of another kind of spectacle than just baseball itself, obviously, Ted. You know, there's one point I want to make here, and I think it's very, very important. If you were to have dreamed up the most horrible scenario for a 6.9 earthquake hitting the Bay Area, you would have put 60,000 people into Candlestick Park, which is beyond question the most maligned stadium in the United States. Frankly, it's ugly. It's not very well maintained. It's very windy, and the Giants have threatened to move if Proposition P doesn't pass on a November 7th ballot. And that would give them a new home in China Basin. Otherwise, they're going to leave Candlestick Park. And yet here it is, this most maligned of structures, which could have been a tomb for thousands and thousands of people. And we lost roughly 250 people in this Bay Area over the course of the past 24 hours. And untold thousands, obviously, would have died had the upper deck, which seats roughly 30,000, collapsed into the lower deck, which seats roughly 30,000 people. And yet this, what they've called this monument to political chicanery, which people thought was shabbily built, and there seems to be some question remaining now whether it's landfill or not landfill. And the ground crew the other day, when I was kidding with them, I said, hey guys, is it really built on landfill? And they said, yes, it is, but don't tell them where you got it. It withstood the ultimate test. And fortunately, I'm not an engineer, but there are joints that are made to expand. That's my understanding. There's been some earthquake reinforcement here through the years. I don't know how much they did come into play, but Candlestick Park remained erect, fortunately. Otherwise, you would have had the most horrific disaster in years.
All right, Al, thank you very much. Herb Cain, I want you to have the closing word here. Perhaps a few thoughts about your beloved Baghdad by the Bay. and on how it has responded to the earthquake and to all that has followed.
Well, I wonder about the reporting, Ted. The Bay Bridge is right behind me, and it's standing. The marina, which is also built on landfill, as is Candlestick Park, is there. I read a headline saying Bay Bridge collapses. Well, a small part of it did. And the marina, I read, was devastated. Well, there was a terrible fire there, and people lost their lives, so I'm not minimizing that. But the marina is there. A real earthquake, I think, the marina would have disappeared into the bay. Perhaps the whole city would have slid into the bay. And our crowning jewel, the Transamerica Pyramid, would have its little pointy head poking out over the ocean as the last resting place of San Francisco. But earthquakes in San Francisco are synonymous ever since Jeanette MacDonald sang the song that's become our theme song, San Francisco. We live with earthquakes, and we live on a fault, and we live dangerously, and it's exciting, and it's a day-to-day existence. So